Hello and welcome to a new Decisions in the Making video. A video series, yeah it is a series, where I talk about IL-2, where I talk about sorties in IL-2 grade battles, and I talk about tactics and thoughts, processes and all this which is important to be successful on the virtual battlefield in the skies. And in this one we will take a look at a sortie I was flying in the BF9 K-4. I have two mates with me, that's Bogrol and Kurfürst, and they are assisting me and we are doing tons of teamwork. And we had lots of nice engagements, lots of situations to talk about, and I thought this is a very good opportunity to do another video like this. Another noteworthy thing is that I am, for this one, back in virtual reality, so that's nothing you can really see that well, but I got my PC upgraded a couple of times the last couple of months and weeks, and I decided to get back into VR to have another go at it. You might have missed it, but I already went to VR quite a while ago, like 3 years ago, but aborted an entire endeavor basically for a couple of reasons. You can watch this in another video. I link it in the description. But back then I was very frustrated with VR. I was not getting along properly, and especially not in terms of YouTube. A couple of things have changed, and of course technology also changed since then, and I thought I'd get back in. But this is a topic for another video as well. So, we are taking off, and I'm just taking off and circling the airfield until my mates get ready. Both are also taking off in BF9 K4s. My loadout is pretty plain and simple. I have installed the BF9, the Daimler-Benz 605 DC engine, and this allows me to run higher boost settings on this one. So this is basically the pinnacle of the German Luftwaffe technology back in the days, at least for the most part. But for now I will skip to the first action. We see the beginning of the sortie was very quiet, like it very often is in these kind of sorties. When you get up into the air early in the evening, the server starts to fill up, so there won't be action right away. You have to wait a little bit and fly about a bit until the action really kicks off. So after roughly 20 minutes we saw our first enemy, which was cruising about on the deck, and we are going to dive on him here soon. Nothing special yet. By the way, this entire video is more or less unscripted for me. I have written some points down I want to talk about, but overall this is just me talking more or less, so it will be a bit rambly here and there. I try to make the video as concise as possible, but of course this is sometimes a bit difficult. At least for me this is very difficult. I know some guys who can just record like this and can talk about this. This is not possible for me when I'm sitting in front of the screen. I always start to ramble a little bit. Yeah, we see this friendly basically chasing down this Spitfire Mark 9. You can see here in his desert camo, clipped wings, and there's not much to talk about this one. We just cruise here at some decent altitude. We descend, as we have seen, the diving aircraft. A Focke-Wulf, I believe, is attacking this poor fellow. Let's put on marker so I can see a bit more. And I think this is actually a bot here, this guy. He's pretty banged up. And he's shooting at this Spitfire, but is not hitting at all. And you can see how the air has a bit troubles keeping this aircraft flying, so this explains a bit the wobbling wings. But Bog, I think, comes in his white camo and just deletes the Spitfire out of the sky. But this is just not much to explain here really. The Spitfire is lower, has no situational awareness, and this is just a case of blasting an aircraft out of the sky, and he's a goner. that's the first skill of our little group for today. And here you can admire the new flag on combat box. Most of the flag is just visual, so most of it can't harm me. Well, I don't know which one is harming me. I think there's like 1 or 2 puffs in there which would actually delete me. But the combat box tools basically scaled up the effect, and for every little flak cannon on the ground you get now 100 smoke puffs. So it looks quite spectacular. It's a bit over the top for me that for one fighter you get these 1000 little puffs, but it looks of course stunning, especially in situations where you have a bomber formation going on or something like this. After such an event here, we shot someone down. This is, by the way, an area where enemy objectives are close, so it's enemy territory. And in these situations, when we are on the deck, we make our way back to our own lines, where we climb back up and be safe until we reach high altitudes, and then return back over enemy territory, or at least be on the front line somewhere. So the next engagement we had was after quite some time. We are now flying quite a bit higher again, and we were flying very casual and spread out. And sadly 151 snuck in and shot down Kurfürst, which was sadly pilot killed right away. This could have been prevented, of course, with a tighter formation that we could have supported each other and spotted the 51 in time. But also maybe, basically this was just preventable with a bit closer formation. And sadly Kurfürst's pilot was killed here right away, and from that point on we couldn't do anything. But a tighter formation would have prevented this. Bock, luckily, let's get Bock here, right, K-4, was able to sneak up onto this 51 and shoot this 51 down right away. Engine stopped, so he just glided back to the ground, and I think he landed this damaged aircraft somewhere. So lesson here is stay a bit closer together, even though the sortie up until this point was very boring. But a closer formation doesn't have to be super close, but just that you can support each other, check each other's sixes, scan for enemies. In this case we were multiple kilometers apart. We could see each other, but nothing really to support directly or fast. I could see another Spitfire in the vicinity, and this turned out to be a bot actually. I could see that this is a bot right away, because this, like you can see, it has Soviet camos, and only the Spitfire Mark V has default skins in the Soviet style. And in my I shot at him, and my 30mm landed right on his wingtip, and he just maneuvered very weirdly about, and this gave it really away that this is a bot. Let's get me my cockpit view, so I'm looking around to see if there are enemy fighters somewhere, but the sky looks pretty clear. And I just gave this guy another burst, and this time the 30mm landed closer to the cockpit, and shrapnel killed the pilot, and this guy was taken out. Only a bot, but of course still you need to hit the target and to kill him. And this was luckily, well, was done, period. In these moments, of course, it is important to leave the area as quickly as possible, because this amount of luck is super easy to see for anyone in the vicinity, and everyone and his mother knows, of course, that this is marking in an enemy aircraft, and is of course then coming this way. So we just leave to reset the entire situation and to leave the enemy lines. But shortly after, we could see enemy aircraft beneath the cloud. I don't know if you can see them. You can see the markers a bit ahead there. And we could see some contacts on the ground. We could see that they were silverish, and we assumed that these might be enemy, which was confirmed just shortly after, because we could see the bombs exploding on our objective. So we decided to bounce them. In this moment, of course, it is always important when you approach such a target from this direction here, just to scan the skies above the target to see if maybe already enemy aircraft are circling and are maybe providing some high cover. But no high cover was really here, just accelerating time a little bit. And everyone of the entire enemy team was here sticking to the ground and just bombing at deck level, which makes, of course, bouncing them much more easy. Bok bounced one here, and I came in afterwards to exploit the confusion a little bit. I made another displacement roll above them to avoid coming in too hot. Picked one target here, and my target was then at the end P51 D15 here. Let's get him on the replay here, and he still has both his bombs on, so I prevented at least some damage to my own ground targets. Let's slow down a tiny bit, and I hit him quite well here, and 30 minutes just take out basically everything on his aircraft. He ends up in a spin and is crashing into the ground. Right away I have others from the squadron shooting after me, but the bullets went all out over my head. Let's go back a tiny bit here, not to get to show this. But basically I could see how this 51 is trying to pull lead after me, and he started to shoot, and I just bunted my nose a little down so the bullets go over the top of my head here. It's of course dangerous when the opponent is not aiming well enough and is then hitting you because you want to evade his bullets, but unluckily you then correct into his path. But in this case, let's stop time. Where we have him here. Yeah, here we have him. He's already 600 meters away, so this is a range where, yeah, well, getting hit is a bit less likely. And you can see how I push the nose slightly down. He is trying to hit me as if I was flying level, and the bullets are just topping, going over the top of my head. And this moment, we don't surprise them. I can see back, and I see how there are many guys higher up. I see the contacts. I don't know who they are. I suspect that this guy is a 51, which indeed he was. So we just call it there. We got our supplies, we got our kills, and we are now heading out and leaving the area. The damage is done to the enemy and to our ground forces. Nothing more will come, so we just leave and keep it that way. Bok is clearing my 6, I'm clearing Bok 6. Bok is back here, and is also briefly pursuing these guys. Oh, the other one goes down for some more reason. But then leave these guys, and that's basically it. That was this engagement. Very easy to force our advantages here. We came in high, the enemies had no high cover. They could have defended themselves a little bit better with a stacked formation, that maybe some guys retain, hold their attack back for a bit, and wait if enemy fighters are coming in, and then this entire fight would have been completely different. In this case, attacking them was quite easy. We basically climbed up right on the spot where we just stopped fighting, and I think it is Bok who spotted these contacts in the distance, and initially we thought these are AI bombers or something like this, because we could see they are large and we could see they are close to each other, and but we didn't, I don't know of any larger bomber formation on this map, and they flew so close that I kinda already thought about that this might be actually human players flying these things, and it's awesome to see that. I mean, it's quite rare. And there they come in. I can now view them. So we have a few things to think about in this attack. For that, let's go back to the cockpit cam. So we see the bombers quite early on, so I can basically plan my attack here quite nicely. However, I also see that there's a fighter above, and I activate the markers again. And this is a formation of bombers. They're just very tightly knit. Nothing you want to attack really from Dead 6, I guess. But I also have seen in the background the Tempest here, but he is not so placed well enough from regarding the direction we are coming from. We can basically attack the bombers first and then deal with the one escort fighter I can see at this point. So I decide to get one hit into the bombers and then see what the fighter is doing. And I'm attacking the rearmost bomber. I'm coming in from the right hand side and get the decent hit in. There I'm coming in, shooting, and the 130mm just connects with the tail and basically almost destroys it. So it's hanging on by a thread. But I'm not going to attack the bombers again because the bombers don't go anywhere for quite some time. I have time to deal with these. I don't have time to deal with the high Tempest, or we don't have time. So I just keep an eye on the Tempest above. There he is. And you can see how I'm keeping an eye on him. And the Tempest at some point really spots me and starts to dive on me. And this is exactly what I want. So I'm quite fast here. I flew level for quite some time. The Tempest seems to be relatively slow, but he is high, so he can just dive and pick up speed. This, however, will take time, so in the time it takes that the Tempest accelerates, I can build distance. I can also put my nose a little bit down to raise my speed here. I'm most certainly faster at this point. And he's basically just chasing me. But you can see, if we can see the distance markers, how my distance from him is already decreasing. But I can correct this a bit by putting the nose down. Bog also is in the game. We just play the good old drag and back game. I try to get the Tempest's attention, and Bog tries to sneak up and get him killed. Tempest zooms up briefly, but pushes down again. So, and Bog just takes out this Tempest. Tempest is down, Tempest is out of the game, and for a brief moment I'm thinking about going back to the bombers. I think I'm just looking back at the bombers, taking a look, where are they? They're still trucking along and going in the direction. But then at some point I take a look back and see how another plane is approaching. And interestingly enough, this is a Spitfire who is attacking the Tempest, the burning Tempest. I don't know why anyone would do this, even it wouldn't be for bad identification, yeah. But the Spitfire basically just spent a huge amount of time in enemy airspace shooting at an already downed aircraft. This, I don't know. And he will pay for that. So I alert Bog of the presence of the Spitfire, which is now kinda chasing me. I mean, this guy must be a newbie. Don't get me wrong. This guy is weaving forth and back and switching targets and is somehow completely lost here in the entire fight. He stays completely confused up until the end, and is confusing also his another friendly who comes in here. So we're now above these two fighters. Another 51 arrived, and Bog and I are now discussing which one to attack, because both are completely lost in the situation. So I think the entire Spitfire shooting at the Tempest may have confused both fighters equally. So because maybe the 51 now thinks this was a friendly fire accident, and they are completely not aware that these were actually enemies shooting down these planes. And now we are positioned right above them, and Bock goes for the Spitfire and I go for the 51, and we basically take them out at the same time. In this moment here, the Spitfire, other way around, I took down the Spitfire and Bock's taking out the 51. My shots took out his tail surfaces almost completely, and Bock is now engaging this Mustang here. And shot him down right away. So this is basically, this entire situation was basically won through exploitation of confusion. If you gain some experience in these kind of situations, you can feel that the enemy aircraft are confused. And if you can feel this and you have maybe a good position, being above them, being faster, you can quickly exploit that situation by striking and maybe shooting someone else, some more planes down, and by shooting down even more planes, the confusion of the enemy will only grow, because where are coming the attacks from, who's the enemy, who's friendlies, and basically if you keep this confusion going, you can exploit the situation more and more. The more experienced the enemy is, the less likely such a situation will develop, and an enemy will regain situational awareness quicker when they are more experienced. In this situation, I think both pilots were not particularly experienced, so were completely confused throughout the entire situation, and we, as experienced pilots, could just exploit that. But now the bombers are at our mercy, and they go actually in some kind of defensive spiral. Let me just quickly load up the next replay file, because this one is dropped. And I'm basically just coming down on the flight here, and I'm dumping now basically my 30mm into the last aircraft of the formation, which just goes up in flames and goes to the ground. And I just used too much ammo here. I kinda was in the moment and fell for it and just dumped basically like 20 rounds of 30mm into this guy. I only have 65 total, or I had at the beginning of the sortie, and I'm now down to my 13mm guns, which are not bad, but they are not good enough to take out bombers that quickly. And yeah, I'm basically now without any gun to take out enemy aircraft quickly, and I'm just going now for the last for these two bombers here, trying to damage them enough that they might go up in flames or something like this, but for some reason they don't take enough damage, they don't go up in flames. So I'm just going through them, and actually one of the tail gunners, or one of these guys hit me here a little bit. I'm now slightly damaged, and we're just flying home at this point. Why do we fly home? Because while fighting, I could already see some dark specks on the horizon, and I thought that these might be fighters coming in to help the bombers, maybe other guys from the group which were delayed or something like this. And you don't want to stick in this kind of situation too long, just drains situation awareness. So we made the decision to leave. The bombers are already through with their target, they dropped their bombs, they are no threat anymore. We shot down a couple of them, and we are now ready to leave. Sadly, Kurfürst is now back up with his 410, and is sadly flying, I just accelerate time a little bit, flying into this mess, and is picking up a Tempest right away. And we come back to help him here, but let's accelerate time. And he's basically trying to avoid this Tempest. Get shot up a little bit, but I think in the end his gunner, which is by the way fantastic on the 410, is dealing with that Tempest. There, pilot kill, Tempest down. the gunner on the 410 is just ridiculous. It's really just too good. But this is basically the end of this this sortie, this flyout. We'll take a look at the last remaining flyout sortie I had. But we're just flying back and getting our new ammo and new fuel, running on fumes at this point. Alright, I will skip to the last replay I have to show you. Yeah, see you there. So we refueled, rearmed and rested up a bit, and as we arrived at the front lines again, at some decent altitude here above the clouds, we could see that there was stuff going on ahead of us here. And we jousted a bit back and forth, trying to find a gap in the formation, if you want to call it that way, but basically to sneak in and cause confusion there. This did not really happen that well. And at some point, I think I just flew in and let's activate markers here, and I flew past the Spitfire. There he comes. I tried to sneak up, but he seemed to have spotted me. It's underflying me here, pulls up. It's a Mark 14. I think probably the same guy we had earlier at the other objective. He just took off again, and the good old Dragonback game again. So he flies after me here, not directly on me for some reason, and Bok just comes in, sneaks up and shoots down this guy, I believe. Yeah. That's why flying with two guys is so much better than with only one. But I also enjoy my solo sorties, don't get me wrong. But it's much more easy, especially with all the blind spots you have. But after we engaged the Spitfire and he's down, we spotted right away this Mustang here. We didn't see this guy to the left here initially. There. Let's get this. There are two guys, and we spotted this guy here, and I was pulling after him. And he pulls after Bok, and if you see my view here, I have the sun here right in my face, and this caused a bit confusion for me. I had to correct, and then I overcorrected, and my bullets were going over the top of the 51 and did not connect. And I completely missed my shots here. And this was basically a critical point, because if I would have shot him down here, the entire situation would have been completely different from this point on. Now Bok comes in from higher and tries to get this guy. I try to get this guy, and at some point we see that more Mustangs are coming in from the west, and the entire situation goes downwards quite quickly. Bok now ends up in front of another Mustang. I try to clear his 6, and then it's just a descending spiral you don't really want, because you can't control the entire environment anymore. This is just a defensive or a dogfight, a tail chase, and more people coming in. I get a 6 here, and I have to react and trying to evade. And let's get me the view from the Mustang here. This is the best, I think, playing this now. And from there on, it's just a defensive fight. I'm going into a barrel roll defense, changing up directions a little bit. I think he could hit me there like 1 or twice. No major damage, nothing leaking, no engine damage, nothing. But I'm slightly damaged, and in 109s you never know if that is enough to weaken your wing spars and their hold. So you just, when you need to fight from that point on and go in these extreme defensive spirals, you just hope that the wing will hold. Another Mustang latches onto my 6, and I have to dodge again at some point. Yeah, one thing I could say here. So we, of course, are communicating, and Bock tells me that more Mustangs are coming in. I tell him which direction I'm going. Usually everyone knows which direction you're supposed to go when fighting defensively. If possible, you always head towards friendly lines and towards your own airfield, and that's exactly what we do. Basically here, somewhere here is our airfield, so relatively far away. But we are heading downwards fast towards friendly lines, so it's very likely that more friendlies are coming in, that the danger for the enemy increases the further he pursues you. So it has lots of advantages to dive towards friendly lines. The enemy has to think about his own escape if he values his own life, so the likeliness that he needs to break off at some point to lower his own risk is high. Alright, let's play this again. I think from higher, there comes the other Mustang. I skip to his view here. And again, just plain defensive dogfighting, bunting the nose down a little bit to deload the wings, and then weaving forth and back to make me a difficult target to hit. Again, switching up, bunting the nose down, high G's, and now a barrel roll. Very difficult to hit here, especially in a Mustang in such a maneuver. If you would have tried to follow this, a wing snap or a stall, accelerated stall, would have been not impossible, let's put it that way. It would have required quite some pilot skill here to keep that turn stable. And we are now still diving, and don't have much altitude to share. One Mustang does a last attempt to attack. So I'm looking around, checking my 6 here, if everything else is okay. And I see this Mustang coming down on Bock. This view is not so nice, it's quite shaky. And I see this Mustang coming in. I try to steer over to clear box 6 here, but the Mustang is already aborting and leaving. So the defensive flying worked. The psychological aspect also worked. They need to break off at some point to preserve their own life. I'm pretty sure that played a factor here, and we are clear again. From that point on, we just fly back, reset ourselves, relax a little bit, calm down our nerves. This is also important. Take your time. If you have such a stressful bit in your sortie, just take time off a little bit, so everything resets, even your body reacting to that stress, and you are back and ready for my action. We're now headed for the last fight of the evening, at least the one I want to show you. I had one more after that, but that was very brief and more or less uneventful. And the main fight already has dissolved, and the enemy is now trying to leave the area, and we don't want to let them and dive after them. And one thing I like to do in such a situation, when especially many friendlies are down here and are chasing these guys, I stay a little bit higher and just overview the entire situation, try to spot things which are at my altitude. Ironically, I missed this guy ahead of me here. But I want to see if there are opportunities on the deck to strike, but at the same time I don't press it too hard. So I just keep a general overview, and I basically wait if my assistance is required, and let other people do the chasing, more or less. And you could see me attacking this 51 here, but he was maneuvering too hard. I could not get him. However, I kept an eye on him, and I could see that a friendly was approaching him and eventually shooting him down. So I now finally see that the situation is further dissolved, and I see only one last chase remaining here, and this is stuff here on the deck. Mark 14 is chasing a Focke-Wulf 190 D9. However, I thought when playing that these two are both enemy, so I thought I could maybe sneak in and get both in one attack. And I'm just diving now after assessing the risk here, and this is now a treetop chase. And I'm at this point a bit worried that my wing will touch a tree, because the speed is so ridiculously high. We are well beyond. Can I see my gauges here? Whoops, sorry for the wonkiness, but you can see I'm well beyond the 750 kph. Almost 750. It's 735, I believe. So that's quite quick. And my closing speed is also quite quick. So I thought, just get in close, deal with this Spitfire, and then just continue going for the next guy. So I'm down to 200 meters, 150 meters, 100 meters firing. This guy gets hit well, is hitting the deck, and now I hate this to show, but he explodes on the deck, and his shockwave tears my wing apart. And this is it. That was my 5th kill there. Ace in a day, and now ace in a grave. What a shame. But it was a great sortie overall, a great mission overall. We had good team play going on with Bock there. We were calling the shots, we were calling the enemies and everything. And to end up in an acre like this is a bit painful, but also a thing which can happen, and luckily is these days in front of our PCs not a big issue. How could have been this prevented? Yeah, of course, by zooming up earlier, shooting a bit earlier, and maybe decreasing my speed a little bit. But I was afraid of overshooting and then ending up in front of him and ending up in another bullshit fight. So I wanted to get close, shoot him down, and then continue on to the next guy, which was friendly, I didn't know. So preventable, of course, maybe just shoot earlier from further away, and this guy just goes down, makes a splash, and does not harm me. I knew that this could happen, that this was a possibility, but was not in my head at that particular time. Alright, this is it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one.